didn't that movement help you to see the world in a different perspective?
Yeah.
Develop different perspective?
Yeah.
Because you were from an elite institution,
Yeah.
Loyola School. And after Loyola School, presidency was also
An elite institution.
Don't know what it is today, but in past it was a very prestigious elite institution. But in the 60s, things changed rapidly and radically. There was a rapid and radical change.
Yeah.
And all the students who were from elite background, they even joined the movement, went to the villages, and they wanted to integrate with the common peasants. And so, what was your feelings in those days?
Well,
what did you feel?
You know what?
As a student of history,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah. What you have just asked me, it has haunted me and still haunts me, and it will haunt me to my grave. When I found that some of my friends leave everything and go in pursuit of a dream, ultimately it turned out to be a dream. But you see, I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the character to leave everything and go running after that dream. A noble dream for which those dreamers did not prepare themselves, unfortunately. But they were big dreamers. But when the dream crashed,
Setback and also.
the setback, under the combined weight of so many tyrannies, the tyranny of the state, the tyranny of indifference or hostility of the middle classes, the tyranny of the media, so many tyrannies, when it crashed, many of them actually beat a hasty retreat. And in subsequent times built their careers in tea, jute, computer, academia, harping on very middle class phenomenon is working here. Very usual, actually familiar. It repeated itself. Harping on their former association with a radical ideology, with an ideology in its most radical form then in the country. But those who were really mad, the mad dreamers, they died. But what was their legacy? A legacy that will never die. The Naxalite movement failed. The idea of Naxalism stays. And it will always stay like all other ideas which espouse the cause of the common man, the little man, the powerless man, with sincerity, with honesty. Some of those big people, I would say, in the movement, they turned out to be big people in life. But I know of some friends who need not be named. They are there in my heart. And they are there in the pages of history. They are there in the air. They are there in the elements. They are like that man in Alia's Last Supper, whom he could not. Of the 12 people, 11 were beheaded, but of the slaves, the Spanish colonial master could not catch one. And you remember the last shots of Last Supper. He's running and running and running over the hills and the valleys and the forests, and he's as if he's a runner who is going to mix with the horizon. That was Naxalism.
But such petty bourgeois radicalism, like you said, because most of the social scientists nowadays say that it was petty bourgeois radicalism. That's why I'm using the term, I'm just quoting it. Such petty bourgeois radicalism couldn't draw you into the movement.
Because I was just petty bourgeois, nothing more than that.
But in the 80s, when the laboring masses, when the toilers came up to you and requested you, implored you, please help us, and you became a trade unionist, don't you think it is?
Look, I will not dignify myself unnecessarily. I was not a trade unionist. I was just a trade union activist. When you say trade unionist, you have the idea that he's giving leadership to a movement. I was ill-equipped. I was not at all equipped to give leadership to the movement. But I knew in my heart of hearts that I felt some deep wrongs were being done to these people. And it was here that the middle class experience is multifaceted. As you know, you belong to that class, I belong to it. It has some little plus points also. What would my mother have said to me? That was the thought to me, that if at this moment, what would my mother have told me? There are many mothers in the world, you know, who ultimately show you the path. Dead mothers, living mothers, and even mother figures, and even historical mothers. Mother Courage. She belongs to the literary tradition, the dramatic tradition. No, she belongs to the living tradition. So what would my mother have said? My mother would have said, so when I remember when going back to Jamshedpur and having lost the job, I went back and I told her that I have failed to do anything. My father stood silent, but my mother said, did you compromise? I said, there were many attempts too. In 2003, the 4 unfortunate comrades of mine, poor and misled by a wayward leadership provided by a certain political party, they had accepted behind my back the severance pay of 2 lakhs each and gone home. So actually things were happening behind my back of which I had no experience. That shows that I was almost an amateur, an innocent who allowed himself, if may put it in a grand metaphor, being allowed himself to be led to the slaughter. So that 5 lakhs was offered to me. Here see, a communist advocate who later on becomes the mayor of Calcutta, becomes a Rajya Sabha member of a certain communist party. Even here, he does not see the 4 piadas and peons and me as equal members of a movement. Here I am a Babu member. And they are peon piada member. They are the subalterns. Here I am an elite. There is where many of the so-called socialist movements have failed. They have not been able to, just because I'm educated, I can speak in English, I can write in English, therefore he's somebody to be respected and honored. I may be a bloody enemy, Ganushotru, enemy of the people, but no, I'm to be respected. I speak English properly. He has been to.
Colonial hangover.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, this is the way it is. Now, when I was going to Industrial Tribunal and coming out, going to the Bankshal Court and coming out, because they were bringing all sorts of criminal cases, all false charges and all that, then going to the High Court and coming out every day, Nandan gave me a refuge. Nandan, the West Bengal Film Center. And there I saw Desica. There I saw Pasolini. There I saw Ray, Ghatak, Sen.
And you also made great friends there.
Made great friends there with whom we'd argue. Short of coming to blows, we would argue. And I felt enriched. And all the failures outside were more than compensated by the moments of peace and quiet that cinema gave me. I tell my friends, I feel so enriched by my association with cinema. Why do these people, film lovers, hanker after visits to foreign film festivals? Why do they do all this, running after foreign scouts who come here for delegates to Cannes or Venice or Berlin? I don't know why. Whatever foreign visits have come my way, mind you, Basu, I'm not at all at any point trying to hold myself as an exemplar, because I know I'm not qualified to be one. But whatever trips to, let's say, Zanzibar or to IDFA, Amsterdam, or to Mannheim, they have come. They have come from the air. I have not run after it. Cinema has blessed me because I have been, I like to believe, a good worshipper at the altar of cinema. But what cinema has actually, more than anything else, given me is a politics of life. So that now, in the 75th year of my stay here, I think cinema has almost become an excuse for me, a kind of a peg on which to hang my hat in order to reach the bigger things. What is life? The characters over there on the screen are teaching me life, giving me a sense of purpose. Even if it is so late in the day, what is life about? You'll see a lot of people making very grand films. They look very nice. But when you've been attracted to that film for the first time, second or third screening, you can see the images crumble before your eyes, because what it lacked was deeply felt content, life. Why do you think Aparajito is still such an international favorite? Why do you think Bicycle Thieves, people still run after it? Why do they go after Gospel according to St. Matthew? Because Christ is not the Son of God. He is the son of Joseph and Mary. He is my good neighbor, an elder brother on whom I can lean on in my moments of distress and sorrow. Pasolini humanized him. And therefore, while he was being, according to the purists and pundits, irreverential and skeptical in tone, that film becomes all the more cinematographically important because of that.
That means film, life and politics have converged.
Absolutely, it should. I think unless life and the art form do not converge, whether it is painting or whether it's literature, whether it's theater, whether it's cinema, if you do not have life into it and you do not interpret that art form which you have espoused in relation to life, then you're not going to reach anywhere substantial. That's what I'm trying to say.